Just awkwardly waiting for the peeps. This is so fucking awkward. Keep going. We're letting more viewers know you're live. Ha. Invites. Invite. Please work. Please work, TikTok. Invite. Please invite. Why are you not working? It's coming. Okay, Paige.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. It's not letting me invite. Rebecca. Come on, please, TikTok.
No.
Come on, TikTok. Did you get the invite, Rebecca? Paige, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you not hear me?
Okay, I'm just making sure you're still there because this thing lives have been off the wall.
Yeah, I need to fix their shit.
All right, let me try to invite her again. Come on. All right, go to your profile. It's still not letting me do that either. Invite sent. Okay. We're waiting for TikTok to work.
Yeah.
Okay, let me try again. Invite sent. Okay, yay, somebody's coming.
Is it working?
Yes, yay.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Just hoping.
So Jennifer, I saw you get on, and then I like joined, or I opened it. Sorry, I'm having issues. And I got kicked off. I just opened and went into your live, and then it was like, nope, we're closing this.
Yeah, they've been so glitchy. I've been on many, and the whole thing just blacks out. Can't hear anything, but the chat's still going. It's a mess.
Well, then I went over into Paige's page, and I was just sitting here, waiting for her to go live. I was like, am I in the right place? What do I do?
Yeah. I don't know what's happening here, but
yeah. I shared it to Jake, so I don't know if he'll got it or not.
Well, if he doesn't, do you have anything to read, or? There you are.
I'm here. Yeah, I look like garbage, so I'm like, how do I not look like garbage?
Yeah. I tried to tame it with some water.
It looks nice.
Yeah, I love your hair. Mine is just, it looks like a helmet.
Check that out. Check that out.
I like it. Oh, and now it's falling because my hair's too short. Ah!
Okay, so Allie is supposed to come, but she's coming late.
That's what she said.
We'll see what happens. In the meantime,
she does
Rebecca, why don't you tell us about yourself?
Okay. I'm Rebecca Ray. I am a mom of two. I live in North Carolina. I'm an Army brat, so I've kind of lived all over, but I've lived in North Carolina for 15 years now. I started writing, or I published almost exactly 1 year ago. I published May 1st will be my authorversary.
Oh, cool.
And Progeny, which I believe Jake is going to read from tonight, is actually due to start the audiobook production in May.
Yay.
So it's kind of really exciting for the 1-year anniversary to get started on that.
That's awesome.
I'm really excited to hear him read from that because I have not had a chance to hear any of it yet. So it's going to be really exciting. So Progeny is a duet. There's Progeny and Retribution, and then I actually also released 2 novellas that kind of go with it. One's a prequel novella that's about 2 of the characters, and another one it's the same story told from a different point of view from a side character.
Mm-hmm.
Then I released Revelations, which was our backup narration piece in case one of the Bordeaux couldn't come with us. I released that in October. It's my only paranormal piece so far. Everything else I have is contemporary. I just kind of wanted to go, I don't know. I like severe ADHD and I'm a little bit, so I just kind of just write what I want. And I realized that could hurt me down the line, but I don't care. So I did Revelations, which is completely different. And then I went back to contemporary, and I just about 2 weeks ago released Always Magnolia. So it's my 4th full-length release. So it's pretty exciting.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So what part of North Carolina?
Right outside of Raleigh.
Oh, cool. So I'm like maybe an hour from you.
Oh, yeah? Whereabouts are you?
Beaufort County.
Beaufort County. Okay, I actually
like the Inner Banks.
I know where that is.
Yep.
I live in this. It's a really funny sounding town name. Fuquay Varina.
Yep, I've been there.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's a big little town. So it's been a little town, but it's like really growing really rapidly, and all the infrastructure and stuff can't keep up with it. So our traffic is worse than like a big city.
Yeah. I remember my grandfather used to live there before he went down to Florida.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice. We like it here.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
And I'm just like 2 hours north up in Richmond.
Oh, okay. Hey. I spent a lot of time in the Roanoke area. My mother-in-law lives up there.
Cool.
I went to school at Virginia Tech, so.
Are you going to Sinful?
I am going to be going as just like a guest. I did not sign up fast enough. So I missed out on signing up to get an author table. I don't know how I missed that, but I'll definitely be going. So
I didn't even realize they had a cutoff.
Yeah, I didn't either.
I didn't either. I jumped on it as soon as I could, but I'm assuming that they were full. So, or I'm not.
Well, I know that Christian, another narrator, had reached out to see if he could get a table, and they haven't gotten back to him with like yay or nay. So
yeah, I filled it out. I don't know. It's been a while now, so I'm assuming that they're full up. But I did like hesitate a little bit, so it's on me. I hesitated a little bit because I have my very first author signing in August, and then another one in September, like the weekend after Sinful signings. And so I thought for a second, I was like, oh God, that's too much. But then I was like, you know what? It's in Roanoke though, so I have to go. And I think it just jumped on it a little bit.
Do you want me to like reach out and ask, like, what's up? Get back to her?
I don't want to like pressure anybody. Like I'm like severely awkward, and I'm like, don't pressure anybody. I'm like, if they want me there, they'll let me know.
Well, I would think that they would say,
sometimes things fall through the cracks
or something. Yeah, yeah, I would think they would say that there's a waiting list.
We'll see. I mean, if they, if they reach out to me, I'll definitely make it happen. The one that I'm going to before that, it's pretty small, so I should still have, most of the stuff from that left over. So I don't think it would be too much to, it should be an easy one for me.
What are the other two that you're going to?
I'm going to Romancing the Carolinas in Charlotte, and I'm doing Authors in the Haunted City in Wilmington.
How do you
I have
hear
small
about
kids.
that one?
Yeah, I'm excited about that one. I have small kids, so it's hard for me to go to anywhere. So sticking close to home and trying out being gone for a couple of days and seeing how it goes.
Yeah.
Nobody here is very thrilled about it.
They never are. But you know what? You deserve some you time.
Yes.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
I never
I'm
really
checking
like
on
is
my
that. Yeah, that's this. That's better. Okay. It's like there's like a really awkward trying to awkward lighting situation.
Always.
If you
always.
hear all kinds of ruckus in the background, there's literally nothing I could do about it. It's my dog.
My dog,
There's
I'm
no
expecting
stopping
him
her.
to come to me. Titan. I'm surprised he's not on his little perch right here. Come on. Here he is. Hey, buddy.
Aww.
Hi, Vivi.
That's my old man.
Aww.
No.
Yeah, he's a good boy.
You said his name was Titan?
Titan, yeah.
Aw,
When we
that's
got him,
adorable.
he was like 3.5 pounds and he had this giant bobblehead, and we just decided that he needed a big name.
Yeah. How old is he now?
He's actually just about to turn 11. But he has cancer, and so those years are heavy on
Precious.
on him.
Yeah. Oh, baby.
Yeah, he's a good boy. He's being shy right now.
Oh, that's okay.
He's like, no,
That's
I don't
okay.
want to talk to them.
So many people watching.
Yeah, I'm sure it's my kids should be asleep, but it's happened before where I've been on a live and they'll come down here, so you never know.
Yeah, I don't know if PJ put away my cats or not. So they may come clawing their way in here. They might not.
I have
We'll
one
see.
of
They
those
usually
too. I have one of those
They usually
too,
have
but
a
he doesn't
bedtime.
normally come in here.
Yeah, ours have a bedtime because they torment the older cat. And by that I mean they exist, and so she is tormented.
Yeah.
But she won't get down off her desk to like go use the litter box or anything if they are out. So we have to put them away at night.
Oh,
So
yeah.
she'll be able to do that. And also, Odin has like anxiety and howls to keep us awake at night. So if we don't put him away too with his brother, then we will not sleep. So
I think I
Oh
did it.
yeah. Yeah. Our cat is he's just kind of obsessed with my husband, so he just stays wherever my husband is.
there.
So.
There.
There he is. Hi, Jake.
Hi, sorry, I was possibly just misinformed about timing on things.
That's okay. We were all
No problem. We would have kept talking until you showed up at some point. So
I'm a talker. I'd keep going.
No, Bridget had an emergency pop up at what is 7:30 Mountain Time, and that's what time she was like, they're both at the same time, and I was like, I don't know if that's true. So I'm glad that I came and checked.
I'm glad too. It's nice to meet you face to face. This is the first time I've actually got to interact with you. I'm always talking to Bridget.
Yeah, she handles most of the public side of things, which I appreciate
yeah.
very much.
does she
I
also
So
need
is
handle?
the book
I need
going to
one
be
of
a
those.
duet? Sorry.
Go ahead, Jen.
Is the audiobook going to be a duet?
I believe we're looking dual. At least that
Dual.
is what I have been told.
Cool.
So yeah.
Does Bridget handle all the admin stuff too?
She
Here's what you're
does,
doing. Here's when it's due.
So the answer is she does, and the other answer is we are actively looking for a project manager because we have too much on the plate and she's much more valuable reading into a mic. So that's on the docket for us at some point. But I do have a small amount of trouble getting her to relinquish control over things for which she feels responsible.
I can understand that.
We all get it.
He's a Capricorn, right?
We both are hard.
Okay. My narration partner is a Libra, so our difficulty is getting him to actually get in here and make a decision and do it.
Yeah. No, we are both extraordinarily detail oriented I handle all of our finance and tech side of things, and she handles the admin and organization, and it has puzzled together quite well.
Yeah.
But
That sounds awesome.
we have sufficient work on the docket at this moment that getting some additional help on top of things would not be the worst idea.
You got to find the right, as long as you find the right person, it'll be good. Because I know that I'm hard to work with just because I'm super, super flighty. And I just found the most amazing PA in the whole wide world. And I don't think that anybody else could handle me. I think everybody else would run away.
Yeah, it's a very interesting dynamic, specifically being like, hey, we're looking for someone to get mad at us when we don't do our job. Can you do that, but then not make us actually get mad at you? And like, it's a weird balancing act of like, the job qualifications are you manage these things and then you make sure that I behave.
Yeah.
And
I want to hire you to be my boss. That's
I'm hiring you to
what my PA does for me.
And it's an interesting dynamic, and we're kind of still learning the ins and outs of like what that's going to take and what kind of person we'd want, but like it's going to make our lives a lot easier to not worry about all of it. So
100%.
Someone else,
and y'all are super popular too. So I can't believe that you've gone this long without having an extra person to help.
Yeah, we've got a PA who runs a lot of just the minutia on everything, but I think as of right now we're on track for 86 books this calendar year.
Jesus.
Which is you're averaging like eight to 9 a month depending, and it's great. We're very fortunate that it's been there. We're happy that we've been able to make it work, and it's a lot of work. It's a lot.
That reminds me to email your PA and see when the next time you have an opening is, so I can get the next book on the docket.
Absolutely.
About that project manager position.
I'm gonna add one more in there because I definitely want to get Always Magnolia narrated. So
yeah, we're filling up whenever we can. So
that's awesome.
So I guess that leads then into our conversation. How long did you start doing this with Bridget, Jake, or did you start doing solo? Did you kind of get pulled in as she was doing it? Like, how did that start for you?
So I have always known that I wanted to narrate books. I grew up attending a local Shakespeare festival every single summer, and so I fell in love with language. And then I would just read voraciously on my own. And so I got, Bridget and I both have undergraduate degrees in acting, which is where we met. And then I went on and got a master's degree. And during my master's program, Bridget and I were in a show together. And one of the actors who was brought in as a guest artist happened to, is actively still narrating, and was running things on the side there. And because it was something I was already really enthusiastic about, we said, let's sit down. You can talk us through everything. We got to where we have settled at this point in Colorado. And once we got here, we said, let's make this happen. Got really fortunate and happened to win a contest to win a pretty nice microphone and said, well, we'll invest the rest. And I started narrating at that point. And it took me about a year, 2 years to convince Bridget to start. Because as is the case, people just don't feel like our voices are worth listening to a lot of the time. So I was narrating some, indie sci-fi and fantasy things, which honestly, like that's, if I sit down to read my own just for the joy of reading, I'm reading either nonfiction or I'm reading science fiction fantasy. And so I was doing that on and off while we were both still aggressively working the theater circuit. And then we finally convinced her to record a demo. She did and landed a book within a week, and then almost immediately started out booking me within like a month. And then she was the one that pulled me into romance from there. So I was narrating on my own outside of that, and then all of a sudden was like, oh, and she's like, hey, I've got people who want your voice. Let's do it. And then we made the choice, we said if we're gonna do this, we gotta move somewhere it's gonna be more sustainable. Did that. The pandemic hit, which meant all of our outside theater work disappeared. We lost, I think, between the two of us, something like 8 contracts in a matter of 3 days. We were booked for 9 calendar months and it all disappeared. And so in order to have any sort of sustainability, we said we'll pivot into the audio thing really hard. And it's been the greatest thing we could have done. So yeah, that was beginning of 2020, and here we are 2023, doing a whole lot of work.
It's awesome.
What was that transition like from sci-fi to and nonfiction to romance, specifically the spicy romance?
The first few scenes were a bit of a learning curve, especially like the first few either group scenes or scenes or things along those lines that were just outside of really any experience I had had.
Yeah.
I honestly think, and this is maybe just me telling myself stories, but I think the fact that both Bridget and I approach romance through the lens of we want to tell fun science fiction and fantasy stories that happen to involve spicy scenes, as opposed to we want to read spicy scenes that have fantasy plots to them. And I know that seems insignificant, but like...
No, that makes sense.
I would much rather tell a complete fun story with good characters in a good world than be involved in books that are written specifically to be vessels for spice, if that, right?
100%.
So that's the kind of way I like to narrate, is I'd much rather, I would love to be able to take... We've got several series, honestly, that are large-scale epic fantasy series. They just involve spice in there, right? So yeah, I think I think a lot of it, the transition has been me going, I'm just going to keep doing the way I feel this is supposed to look and sound, and it's worked out.
It's going well, yeah.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how absolutely excited I am to hear Progeny come to life with the two of you. I'm over the moon. I'm probably gonna cry.
I'm really excited for it.
I am very excited.
Are you okay talking a little bit about how you found us and what that connection has been?
100%.
Yeah.
I actually, so to like, this is the wrong group to admit this to, but I've never very much been huge into audiobooks. I have voices in my head and the way it plays out, and I just typically prefer to read it myself. So I didn't know a lot about audiobooks when I started writing. And then after Progeny came out, I had people approaching me saying, hey, are you going to do audiobooks? Are you going to do audiobooks? I have this one particular friend that was a beta reader, and she is huge into audiobooks. And she's like, you have to do audiobooks. She's like, you have to check out Bridget and Jake Bordeaux. And I'm a huge fan of Britt Andrews.
Yes.
I love Britt Andrews.
Yep.
And I listened to The Magic of Discovery so that I could get an idea of kind of what the voices were going to sound like. And even if it was a little bit different than how I read it in my head, it was actually very engaging for me. And so I had listened to some others, just a few others that she had sent me, and I was just sold. And then I knew that I wanted to do it, but brand new author, debut author, it was going to be a while before I could do that. I was hoping that by the end of this year that I would be able to schedule it. But Bridget had put out I don't know if it was a lottery or a competition or something, to do like a royalty share. And I was like, I have to jump on this. And I never in a million years thought that I would be chosen for that. Never in a million years. But I literally jumped around my house and screamed. I am so excited.
No, so
that's amazing. That's wonderful.
It's honestly what it is. It's a testament to who Bridget is as a person. because she drug her feet so hard about ever increasing our rates. Specifically because she goes, I love facilitating new authors making their debuts and helping people and finding people whose stories have yet to really be able to be told this way. And so very early on, as frankly a compromise about saying, when we had authors telling her, you're not charging enough for what you're doing right now, stop it. And she, as a compromise that we worked out, we wanted to put together what I don't know if I can refer to it as a scholarship program or whatever it is, but it's us saying we still want to make ourselves accessible to new authors who have good quality product that deserves to be listened to and seen. So we'll work at a rate that is affordable for that as a means of us continuing to foster, I think, new voices within the community. Because and this is not meant in any way as a judgment against other people, right? But there are some narrators who have 5 authors they work for, and then they know that they're set forever, and that's it. Yeah. And so much of our journey has just been really, really loving the wide supply of people that we've been able to interact with and talk with. And in the same way that like our being able to start doing this was because people were willing to kind of take risks on us and work with it. I'm so excited that we found someone who is enthusiastic, and the story is really good. Like that was frankly one of the qualifications that we had when we were talking about it. And so, yeah, it's been really, really cool to be able to kind of go through that and know that it's making the impact we wanted.
I know we haven't even really started yet, but I am so thankful because it really would have been, I mean, now that I've got the 4th book out, you know, it's a little bit more tangible, like I'm getting there, but it would have been a while before I could do this. And I had so many people always approaching me about like audiobooks. I'd love to do it. But it's so expensive, and I'm a brand new author. You know, we don't got it like that. Like, and so just the fact that y'all put yourselves out there to do that means so much. The fact that I got chosen is just literally makes me want to throw up a little bit, but like in a good way.
Totally get it. But yeah,
it's a huge, somebody said it's a huge boost for the indie community. It is a huge boost for the indie community. And I know how many people were so excited and applied. And I mean, there was so much buzz about it. So many people talking, a lot of like my friends in the indie author community were discussing it. And I mean, it was a huge thing that y'all were doing for the lesser known indie community. And we're all thankful, but obviously me most of all.
Well, I mean, it's something that we're committed to doing, I think, for the rest of our careers, however long that may be lasting for us, because to be candid, we've got enough projects on the table to live a life that makes us feel fairly comfortable. And so finding ways to give back and like thank the community that really helped us get our start, and also like make sure that we're sponsoring people who are also as passionate about what they're doing as we are, really, really is something we want to make a central focus in our business model forever. So I'm really excited that this gets to be the first one.
Such a good example of the kind of people that I want to work with and that I want to surround myself with, and also things that I want to do if I ever reach that level of success. I want to be able to give back and to do, you know, like scholarships or, you know, pay for somebody's table at a signing or help somebody towards, you know, being able to do the audiobooks, because like, again, like JC Fuller here mentioned, Allie mentioned it's important for accessibility.
Yeah.
And to be able to offer that is beautiful. And I would, you know, that's my idea of success, is getting to that point where I can give other newer authors a leg up in the way that y'all have given me.
Well, and I think, I mean, just from the accessibility perspective, my mom is pretty substantially dyslexic, like really, really struggles as far as things go, and did not develop really a love of reading until we were all listening to Jim Dale narrate Harry Potter in the car on road trips when I was a teenager, right? And that was the thing that opened up literature to her as a person. It had been something she could tolerate, but was not something she was looking to do because it filled her with joy the same way it did for me. So, like, I know how impactful it can be. I know, not just from like, I prefer this, but like, this is the way it has to be for me to consume
Yeah.
it. And knowing that that's something that we help facilitate is really cool.
Absolutely.
It's awesome.
Now, do you still narrate solo at all? Do you still do sci-fi and stuff?
I wish that Bridget let me. Not that she's possessive, but I literally, if I were to approach her and be like, hey, I've got a solo project, she'd be like, when? here's the schedule.
And then you would be like, I'll ask the project manager.
Right.
The
and then
romance
we can
community
we can force
needs
things
you.
that way. I actually, it is the first, most of my solo work that I have done has been immediate ties into series that we're doing that may be just a male voice through it. They've generally been smaller. I am actually working under my I don't know if anyone would be surprised. Jake is a pseudonym for me because I keep my spicy content away from my I'm going to go teach acting workshops at colleges content. But one of the first authors, and this is the same thing, one of the first authors I ever worked with, he's a veteran in Southern California who wrote a fantasy series. Like he was the third or fourth book I ever recorded. Reached out to me years later because my real name has almost no titles to it past his. And he was like, hey, are you interested? And I said, okay, well, here's what's going on. You don't see all the work I've been doing over the past few years. I'm in a very different place, but I'm doing the same thing. I told him, if you can handle, like, we'll put the deadline in October of this year. I may be able to get like an hour a month done in my spare time. But if you're willing to wait for it, we'll make it happen for you. So there's a few solo projects that are out there, but the majority of my work is done with Bordovio and narrating alongside Bridget.
That's awesome. Well, we have, I don't know, the numbers I've been done, usually right about now, we have the narrator actually narrate.
We can do it.
So, yeah. Right, I'm going to mute myself. And do you want us to tell us a little about what's going on? A little bit about the book too, Rebecca, before we do that?
Please.
Which I gave her two passages. Do you know which one you chose?
I believe that I've got chapter, was it 28?
Is it Lucas?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me double check the emails here.
I had a really hard time choosing a passage that wouldn't either give too much away or be too spicy. So the book centers around a woman who wakes up in the hospital. She doesn't know who she is. She doesn't know where she's been. She's obviously been through something traumatic. Has a terrible head injury. And she, the men of the book, there are five male main characters, and they find her. She stumbles into a park and she's muttering about, I have to find them, I have to save them, and then she passes out, has a seizure, and then they rush her to the hospital. They all feel connected to her and she feels connected to them, but nobody knows each other, so we don't know why. They figure out that maybe somebody's after her. I don't want to give too much away, and they decide to hide her away. So they are at this venue where they've decided to hide her, and two of the men are bathing her, basically, and it does get a little heated. One of the men is in the room adjacent to the bathroom and hears a sound, and he kind of has this voyeuristic moment. So it's a little bit, the area around it is spicy, but the passage itself isn't too spicy. But he's having this moment of like kind of awkward voyeurism. And this particular character, he's actually one of my favorites. He is very awkward, neurodivergent, much in the same ways that I am. And so I think it's going to be really cool to hear his voice.
Great. I will say I chose this because I'm excited to live in that space for a little bit. And I can also say we're going to run into just some TikTok spice moderation issues, I think.
Yeah, there's a point where it's going to stop, where we have to stop.
So just, yeah, we can, I will let you keep an eye on it and we can run things from there. I just don't want anyone to get banned today because we got close the other night, apparently. Bridget's had a couple of her lives go up recently, so.
I'm going to read along with you.
Great.
All right, I'm going to mute myself.
Let's do it. Chapter 28. Lucas. I feel weirdly giddy and maybe brave. I've always been the analytical type and not one to act on impulse, except in the case of close, trusted relationships. But I thought about what Micah said, about how he feels a similar pull to her that he does to me. It made me think and analyze my own feelings in a different way than I normally would. I thought about how I felt attracted to Micah the first moment I sat down next to him in that class, and about the years I spent overthinking my feelings and holding back due to fear. I am intensely attracted to her, and I don't want to make the same mistakes. When I was listening to her earnest explanation of her feelings, I was blown away by the respect that she offered to both of our feelings and my relationship with Micah. I could see in her eyes that she meant every word, and the closer the tears got to spiraling over her light eyelashes, the closer I wanted to be to her. I found myself gravitating toward her, barely noticing that I was moving. The moment she questioned whether it really mattered if it was real, something clicked. And for once in my life, I just acted. Mrs. Coulson is looking at me expectantly. She's probably waiting for me to say something or set down the tray I've been standing here holding. I'm feeling a little awkward with small talk without Micah or someone as a buffer, so I set it down with an apology and start moving to clear off the tray. She tisks at me, shooing me from the kitchen and insisting I allow her to take care of it. Heading back upstairs, I tap lightly on the open bathroom door before sticking my head in. I don't want to be intrusive. I only want to check to see if there's anything I can do to help. When I peek in, I see Micah and Lewis in a huge tub, standing on either side of our girl. She's wearing a bra and panties, but the white cotton isn't leaving much to the imagination. Despite her bruises and the gruesome scar on one side of her head, she looks incredibly sexy, all wet with rivulets of soap dripping down her body. From this vantage point, I can tell that I'm not the only one that thinks so. I can see the evidence in the heat of Micah's eyes and the hugely telling evidence straining in front of Lewis's boxers. I back out quietly, not wanting to make the situation awkward. I get comfortable on the sofa and pull out my phone to read on my Kindle app, sticking close in case I'm needed at any point. A couple of chapters in, I hear an unexpected sound emerge from the bathroom. I hesitate, wanting to allow them their privacy, but then I overthink it and start to worry if the sound was pain rather than what I originally thought. I walk over to the door, peeking inside again. What I see when I look inside is certainly unexpected. The first thing I notice is that our girl, now scrubbed and rinsed clean, is looking amazingly healthier and blonder. She's glowing, her cheeks flushed and mouth parted, looking down at Lewis with glazed eyes. Lewis looks torn between pleasure and pain, holding her hips as he moves her, grinding her into his lap as she rides him. It's a pretty shocking development. I hadn't realized any of us were at this point in our new relationship, and I'm pretty surprised either Micah or Lewis would take it there. But what overshadows the shock is arousal. She looks more beautiful than ever. Aside from the fact that she's no longer bandaged and covered in gore, the look on her face is mesmerizing. Her climax is a thing of beauty. Her eyes open wide in a sort of dazed astonishment, tilting her head back like she's facing heaven as she arches her body into Lewis's. My own body can't help but respond. I'm all but holding my breath, my pants starting to tent. It's probably one of the most erotic things I've ever watched. But it's Micah that makes me lose my composure. He's standing with his back against the opposite side of the tub. And this is probably where we need to maybe stop talking about things.
That might be a good spot. I'm sorry, I'm such a weirdo.
Well done.
I don't think that's weird in the grand scheme of some of the stuff that has come out of my mouth or I've read in other books. So I don't think that's particularly weird.
No, I'm weird because I'm like trying not to bawl my eyes out over here. It's so
Bawl your eyes out. Feel your
cool
feelings.
to hear. It's so cool to hear. It's my characters come to life. It's very exciting.
That's the best kind of reaction that we can have. Truly.
Yeah,
Truly.
I mean, I prefer it to other reasons you could be crying right now. So,
You're like, oh God.
what have I done?
Well, normally we ask how it makes you feel, but I guess we know now. So.
Yeah.
I'm all like trembly and lit up on the inside. I'm very excited.
Aw.
I'm very excited. I don't know another word for excited right now. I'm a writer. I'm good at words, right?
No, I'm a narrator. I'm supposed to be good at talking, and
Yeah.
it's not always the case.
Sometimes it just takes a little, recentering, refocusing, a thesaurus.
And this goes into production next month?
Yes.
I believe
Cool.
that this is on the calendar. In fact, I can hopefully give you a more specific date.
We love a good calendar.
I know that all the information was due by I think May 1st, but I'm excited, so they already have it all.
Thank you. I cannot tell you how grateful I am when people get things into us early.
Well, I was like, do I need to do anything? Do you want me to color code it? Is there anything else I need to do? Like, I had the hardest time not going through it and like re-editing the whole thing.
It's a trap. Don't do it.
That's exactly what I was like. It's a trap. Right? Walk away, back. Walk away.
No, this looks like we should be getting to principal on this in the second, it'll be the third week of May is when we'll start production. Estimating it around 11 hours of audio, so that should probably finish up like the very end of the month, into the beginning of June, is when principal will be done on it. We'll have our rounds of notes and things on there, with quality check. I mean, midsummer launch, potentially. You don't quote me on that because things go wrong every once in a while, but that would be when we've been looking for it.
Takes as long as it takes.
Yeah. So yeah.
Now, do you all have two booths? Do you ever do duet? Do you record at the same time? How do you logistically handle that?
So at the start of the pandemic, but in fact, it was a month before, we were in a place that the air conditioning unit was run by an exterior thermostat rather than inside the house, which meant anytime the outside temperature was above 78 degrees, the AC would be on and we'd lose our recording space. So we were recording from like 8 p.m. till 3 a.m. and it was completely unsustainable. And we reached out to a friend who we also knew was looking for a place and said, hey, can we jump in together? We're all going to be working all over the place. and won't see each other much, but it'll be fine. So we moved into the apartment where we're at right now. And then the pandemic hit and we all ended up being here stuck for 1.5 to 2 years. But our transition had been so good that when she moved out of her side of the house, we were able to just take that side part of the lease. And the bedrooms are on opposite sides of the house, both with walk-in closets. So we do have 2 studios set up on far sides of the house. We have done, when we're doing duet, if there's a book that we really feel necessitates it, we'll hop on like Discord or just a phone call and read with each other. One of the huge advantages, I think, to where we're at is we acted together on stage for almost 9 years before we started narrating together.
That's so cool.
And so, like, I've got a pretty good idea of the general vicinity of where a lot of her choices are going to be. So unless there's a pressing matter that we feel this really needs to be done live, we'll record concurrently, which frankly what it did is it doubled our production abilities overnight, which was ridiculous because we went from only having 1 space to having 2. And it's what's really facilitated the big launch for us. So yeah, she's always further along in the schedule than I am, and I'm always desperate trying to keep up. So she'll probably finish this a week or 2 before I do.
Well, you also have 5 parts in this. Yeah. So I could see how it's probably going to take you a little bit more because you have 5 in these.
It's so interesting to me that the Why Choose genre was the place that we ended up settling, specifically because, like, if I look at the last year, I've probably narrated over 500 male main characters of various voices, right? Which, like, and when I'm acting in theater, I'm lucky if I get to do 2 characters in a year, right? 3, or if I'm in a show that features it, like watching someone be like, he does 10 characters in the same show, and I'm like, I do that in every single book at this point. Yeah. So it
takes so much, an immense amount of talent too, because you give them all such distinct voices. It's really, because that was the thing that I was worried about. I was like, how are they all going to sound different if it's the same dude? Like, am I going to have to hire like 5 dudes to give them all different voices? But you are fantastic.
Well, I appreciate that. It has taken a lot of very concerted work and effort to, I think, get there. And also, I'd like to think that my love for the genre, like just for audiobooks in general, has served that, right? Because I got to listen to people who were astonishingly good at it and then sit in the car and think to myself, now, what are they doing to make all of this sound the way they want, right? So much of, I mean, the trends in how audiobook sounds are always shifting in things, but when it comes to just consummate, amazing performances, like, you can go back and find some really, really great work. So I've tried to make sure that I do that well, and it's worked out. I appreciate it. And honestly, the thing that really makes the difference on our end is when you can find a book that the character's syntax and voice is independent of the others enough that the lifting's done for you. I can color it, but it makes such a difference when I can sit down with a book and know which one of the characters are speaking just from like the way we sit down and go in, and like it really makes a difference. And frankly, from the decision-making process, it's one of the reasons that I think this book was included in our finalists, is because we feel like this is something that can still feature us well without us really needing to feel like we're grinding ourselves into the ground to make it something, which I think is a testament to the writing.
Thank you. And that makes me feel good, because that's something that I worried about when I was filling out the questionnaire. And I know that we will have more time to go back and forth and talk and things like that. But I was worried that when I was filling it out, I was worried. I was like, I know I can hear their voices in my head, but I hope that they're distinguished enough to sound, that the characters are different. So it makes me feel good that that was part of the decision-making process. That's not
Yep.
something I have to worry about too much.
Well, and one, it's also been a big lesson for us to learn because like we just finished building our website, and on our website we actually have been able to upload our entire catalog so people can just see works that we have done.
Cool.
But the problem is when they built it, they put the default sorting mechanism from oldest title to newest title. So when you opened the page, it was all of literally the first books. When I was still trying to wrap my mind around, okay, 5 guys all with low, gruff, sexy voices. What am I supposed to be doing with all of it? And like there, you find nuance, you find the ability to find life in the middle of all of those things. And it's been a learning process, which is something I feel really proud of at this point because I had a stark reminder of where I was a few years ago, and it always feels good to be like, yes, I have learned my lesson. I mean, it gets back to the same. When you talked earlier about feeling like you wanted to edit your books to make sure you're like, I got to go through and do another pass.
I got to do it again.
It was the number one thing that I literally had to go at.
Oh no.
Oh, that's just, I got a low battery alert. So, but we've got plenty. It'll last. But I would have to go in and stop Bridget and be like, hey, you're done. Because she would record for an hour, and then I don't know if Paige, if you have experienced this, but the first 10 to 15 hours of finished audio that a new narrator produces, the learning curve is so exponential, right? That you'll get to the end of hour 5 and listen to the stuff at the beginning of hour 1 and go, I got to redo all of that because I didn't have any idea what I was doing. And so it's really easy to get kind of sucked into that spiral of, as I continue to grow, I feel like I need to lift up the work behind me. And so like, yeah, it's a thing that I think all of us creatives experience as we learn and grow in our craft. And frankly, it sucks sometimes to just learn to breathe into it and be like, this is going to be what it is. And I've learned my lesson for the next thing.
Yeah.
Right. My first book, definitely, like, my parents listened to it. They're like, no, you eventually settled, but we could hear even just vocal changes. Like, What is my narrating voice between the first few chapters? And by, like, the middle of the book, I had settled into what kind of became, like, my cadence, such as it is, like, my narrating voice. Without being the narrator voice, if that makes any sense. But,
yes,
like,
absolutely.
not a Puran thing. But, like, because sometimes I was just a little bit higher than where I normally speak, and that's not where it needed to be. But, yeah, So I look at it, I'm like, oh, I don't want to recommend that one to anybody. So.
Yeah, these should not be at the top of the page when you click what have these folks narrated.
We want the reverse sort option, newest to oldest, or like group by series.
That's what we asked them to default to, as I said, hey, why don't we default, like, we'll go newest release to oldest release, and then underneath that will be our, average review, and we can go down from there.
Definitely. Jen, you have a list of questions, and we haven't let you ask any of them. Where's your list?
Let's go. Sorry, Jen.
That's all good. Well, I started reading Revelations. I like that.
It's so completely different from Progeny.
Yeah, I liked it. I'm going to I started reading the look inside option, but I'm definitely going to buy it. But I saw in your bio that that's the book that you wished more people knew about. So do you want to tell us a little bit about that book?
I guess so. Like you said, like everything's such a learning experience, and like I think the thing that I was most worried about with Progeny is I've always written, but it's the first thing I've ever finished. It's the first thing I ever put out. This is number 1. And I know that I've learned so much since it that I was worried. I was like, do I need to edit it again? Should I go through it again? Should I get another editor? Because the editor that I have now is way better than the editor that I had for this, because I couldn't afford like the absolute best at the time, So I'm like worried about it. Is it good enough? Is it good enough? Revelations, it is so completely different. I mean, it's a completely different genre. It's definitely is very dark. It's literally the four, because it's also a why choose. The four men are literally torturing her, and I mean like whipping her, chaining her, pulling out her toenails. They're torturing her, and but it all has a meaning behind it. Like I started writing this when the Roe v. Wade decision got handed down, and there's a lot of themes in the book that you it's obvious when I say that I wrote this after that, you'll see it when you're going through and reading it. I do know that like I probably hurt a little bit of my following, the following that I did. I mean, obviously it was like a bestseller. I'm not like well known or anything, but I know that I did above average for a debut author with Progeny, and with book 2, it went very, very well. It went better than I could have ever anticipated. For me, if I had put it out there and 10 people had read it, I would have been over the moon, and it was a lot more than that. And that was very exciting. And then I just kind of shifted and did a 180 and decided to write something completely different. And it didn't quite get the same reception. I mean, really, and I also I put everything into it. So considering how much I spent to write and put the book out there, it was kind of it tanked, but I still really like it. I like the meaning behind the book. I think that it's fun if you like dark romance, which I really do. And so, yeah, I the people that read it, they either love it or hate it. And I kind of love that I've created that kind of juxtaposition there. I think it's fun. I got a lot of
any kind of strong
politics and fiction, that kind of stuff.
All shaped by politics. That's silly. They're inherent in there.
I mean, all of my books, honestly, are in some way, shape, or form. I'm pushing my my liberal agenda.
They inform their world, right?
I don't think there's anything. I just
with Progeny, honestly, it's not as overt.
Well, I think there's something worth writing about the things of which you feel passionate, and I know.
And bodily autonomy, which is really, when you come down to it, a lot of what Progeny is about. It's about her bodily autonomy and her ability to make her own decisions and to be her own person, and that's important to me. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm also a big talker, so just tell me to shut up.
I will let you know.
Nervous talk.
I did just get a string of texts from Bridget going, "Oh no, oh no, oh no, I gave you the wrong time." So I have.
And did you say, "I know"?
Yeah, I've talked her off the edge about it, but the mistake has been realized.
We're good.
She was like, "I don't have anything about that." I'm like, "I have 2024." Well, we'll have you back in 2024 too. It's already on your calendar,
yeah,
so.
We'll be there. Yeah, I'll try to get on the calendar for about that same time, and then we'll see what we can do with that.
Great.
So tell her not to delete the 2024 one, just to be safe.
Great.
Keep it.
And we'll be in touch.
Just keep it.
All right, Jen, I know you have more. Show us the paper.
I love it.
I don't have anything on the back of this one. I lost part of my list. Okay, so when you write your books, what comes first, plot or characters?
It depends. I'm incredibly. I know poor Jake and Bridget are probably worried now about working with me because I'm incredibly scatterbrained.
You are not the only one.
I have severe ADHD.
Say the exact same thing about themselves.
I have severe ADHD, and I'm neurodivergent, so I tend to just kind of go off and just do whatever. So sometimes it might just be a scene. I'm not really sure what came first with Progeny. I think I just had this idea of, I think the idea of her waking up in the hospital and not knowing who she was. And then there just kind of this sci-fi kind of twist kind of came to me first.
That's cool.
Did you pull the characters from people? I know you said that Lucas was kind of like the one you said kind of based on you and your
not entirely intentionally. Lucas definitely, I feel like I can I feel a lot for Lucas. But in my mind, when I put together the characters, I kind of started with like a visual and an attitude. And I kind of visually I picked celebrities, which I didn't do with any of my other books. But for the first one, that helped me kind of mold the characters. And so I started with, kind of like what they look like and their, like how they carry themselves and their attitude. But as I was writing them, obviously they became different people than the people that they're visually based off of. But one of the characters, which I did not realize until after I had written it, my best friend in the whole wide world was the first person to ever read anything I've ever written. And she was reading it and she's like, so basically you're Jackson. And I was like, oh, a little bit. Kind of wrote myself into one of the men.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
I'm sorry?
Jen, you're all over your character.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I mean, I know I put a lot of my like deep-seated issues into a lot of my characters just to kind of expel that.
Definitely. And it's very therapeutic. My last book that just came out, it's got a lot of dark themes. It's very traumatic, but it's based off of, obviously, like, I don't have 3 boyfriends, but some of the things that happened to her are based in reality. And not all of the super, super terrible things, but every scene in there is actually based off of a real story that someone has either told me or that I've discussed in a forum with another person. That's all very realistic. Like all of the things that happened to her have happened to people in real life. And some of those things happened to me. And it was very, very therapeutic writing that. It also was nauseating putting it out to the world.
Yeah. I can relate with that.
Like nerve-wracking or?
Yes, it felt very raw.
Mm.
I think that's the best word for it, raw. It
It's
felt like I just like torn myself open.
Do you still get scared every time you release a book?
I didn't when I released Revelations. I was cocky when I released Revelations. I was excited about it. And I still love the book. I'm still proud of it. I stand behind it 100%, but it didn't do as well as I thought it was going to do. I was super cocky about that. I was like, yes, release day, I'm ready. Whereas all the other ones, like when I released Progeny, I was losing my shit all day. It was the first one, and that was incredibly. And then Retribution, I think I was worried that it wasn't going to be good enough to follow up Progeny. It wasn't, that the story wasn't, because people wanted more spice. But I also like the plot. The story is really important to me. So I was trying to like tie those 2 things together and make sure I get a little bit of everything. And I was really kind of more worried about what everybody else wanted.
Right.
Revelations, I was not nervous at all. I put that out there. I like punted it out there and I was like, there you go. And then with Always Magnolia, that one was just nerve-wracking because it was raw, because I was putting myself out there so much.
I think those are the truest stories, though.
Yeah. It's different for every book, I guess.
Well, it's really comes down to like the intimate and intense desire to be understood and not feel alone, juxtaposed against the absolute terror of being perceived.
Yes,
right?
very much. Yes.
Where you're like, I want community and I want people to love and understand me, but I don't want them to know the specifics of why.
Yes,
Right?
exactly. That's
Yeah.
100. That is so accurate.
Yeah.
So your book did above average for an indie author. What was your like? How did you make that happen? Do you have any tips for other indie authors? Like, you're
No,
lucky.
that was honestly 100% some just amazing luck. I never really intended to publish it. I have always written. I had probably dozens of just random stories that I had started just in random places in notebooks, saved on my computer in random files. And then I don't know if this is too much. Well, no, it's not too much information. It's a fact. Like I said, I have severe ADHD and I have never really taken medication for it. And so around January is when I was prescribed Adderall, and I never wanted to take it. I was really afraid of it. And it was the first time I tried it. And I sat down and I mean, I hyper focused on it and I ignored my entire family and I was a terrible mother. But I finished something for the first time in my life. And I didn't think that it was good enough to put out there. But my best friend was like, hey, she's not a big reader. And she's like, I'm obsessed with this and I need you to keep going. And so I got onto some groups and I said, hey, does anybody want to beta read this? And just let me know if it sucks. And I'm very specific. Like, I have the same group that I work with now, and they understand how to work with me now. I am not that person that needs you to like everything or to, I don't want people to fluff me or be nice to me. I want brutal critique. I want you to tear this apart. The meaner you are, the more I will like you. And, you know, I found a group of people that did just that, but overall, they liked it and they liked the characters and they helped me make it better. And then I put it out there to some ARC readers. I think I needed so much feedback. I needed it because I did not believe that this was happening. And so I had like 24 beta readers and I had like 300 ARC readers for the first book.
Wow.
And like obviously not all of them reviewed or anything like that, but I just desperately needed that feedback. And I wanted real feedback. I don't want you to tell me you like it if you don't. Like, I want to know everything that sucks about it. But people liked it. And I don't know. I mean, like, it wasn't a bestseller or anything, but for a debut indie author, I know that it was above average. And I only know that because I had no idea what to expect. And I was talking to other friends, other authors. I was very lucky to kind of be like Salem Cross picked me up and put me in her pocket and kind of just showed me how to do everything. I had no idea how to do anything. I wasn't even sure I was actually going to publish this. There were no ads. There was just some word of mouth. And I managed to get lucky enough to write a story that people liked. And I'm just very lucky. Revelations can tell you that I obviously didn't know. I don't know how I made that happen because I couldn't make it happen for Revelations. But it seems to be happening for Always Magnolia, so that's good. You think that I would stay in my lane and stay with contemporary, right? You think like, hey, this is my bag, right? I'm gonna stay like obviously paranormal's not my thing. No, next thing I want to write is paranormal.
You don't have to be one thing.
I can't stay in my lane. Even if that loses me readers, I cannot stay in my lane.
No.
That's okay.
I mean, you have to write what you want to write. Otherwise, it feels like work. It feels like
and I have to follow the dopamine. So,
yeah,
you know, that's what feels good. And that's what I'm, you know.
I think it's less like a road and more like a neighborhood. You have all these little roads in the neighborhood, and they all have their own little personality.
Mhm.
And that's genres, that's writing styles, it's narrating styles. There's the whole pick your thing. No. If your thing is everything, do
totally
everything.
disagree with that.
Yeah.
I'm neurotic, and so everything I do is going to be neurotic.
Fair.
And I also
my
think
thought tendrils are worse than my hair.
From a narrator perspective, one of the things that we always try to encourage people to do is to cast a wide net, right? Which is at the beginning of your career, you don't know where you're going to sit. You don't know what your thing is. So why limit yourself, right? And obviously, writing a book is a bigger time commitment, so you need to be a little bit more knowledgeable around that. But I would never have pegged where we've ended up as the place where I thought we would. And it's because we auditioned for everything, and eventually the jobs that were offered to us narrowed down to put us where we now feel comfortable. And so you should never feel bad about saying, I'm going to cast a wide net with what I've got, and we'll see where things land.
I think I'm because of the way my brain works, I am so lucky that I've managed to get anything out there. So whatever comes out is what comes out, and y'all just hang on for the ride.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hate that whole idea of branding. I hate it in theater. I'm like, no, if you can't see me in one thing, consider me for 5 things. That's what swings are. That's what understudies are for. Let me do all the things. It's fine. Same with genres. Same with writing. Why? Why do I have to be the one thing?
Yeah.
You don't.
And I can see how it doesn't give, I guess the whole thing with branding is that it makes readers feel comfortable so they know what they're going to get from you. And so they're more likely to stick with you. And then, so a reader, unless they're that very small group of people is I like Becca, a reader isn't going to one-click something I put out there because they have no idea what it's going to be. And so, I might, in the grand scheme of things, I'm probably going to lose, I guess I'm going to lose money, but I'd rather put out things that feel good and that I care about. I don't want to write. I don't write to market. I don't write because this is what I think will sell. I write because there's a story in my head that needs to get out.
And I think it's important to look at the motivation, because one of the hardest things, and I'm sure everyone here has experienced it to some degree, is you cannot apply traditional business acumen to what we do. So when people talk to us about maximizing profits and what can you do to streamline your experience in order to be able to do all of this, it just doesn't have an effect. And one of the things that I consistently try to remind myself is there are narrators and actors and authors I have met that seem to feel that the way that they are successful is when they are the one who everyone is reading and they are the one who is doing all of the jobs. And anyone outside of that feels like a threat to them. And I have to remind myself that what we want is not me to be the only one that's working. What we want is 3 times as much work happening by everyone, because then everyone wants to find the best books possible, and there's a voracious artistic community surrounding it. And so
there are enough readers and listeners for everyone.
And the more people read, the more they're going to tell other people about reading, and then the entire it's rising tide in that situation. I don't want the only theater that exists to be shows that I am in, because that inherently means every other person is having a miserable theater experience and no one's going to want to go. So I think it gets back to one of the points you raised, is find mentors and find people who can guide you on how to do the things, because the more we all lift, I think the better the industry as a whole is going to be. And I think especially the indie publication side of things really exemplifies a lot of really beautiful things along that line.
100%. The indie community has, obviously there are outliers that stir up trouble and stuff like that. But for the most part, my experience has been such an uplifting and supportive community. And I want to be part of that. My Facebook group, we have a baby author book club, and we feature a new book from a brand new author every month, and it's fun and it's exciting, you know. And I mean, because I'm still a new author, you know, giving somebody that leg up that somebody gave me, or just being able to work together and make friends in the community, that makes me feel cool.
Yeah.
And I've never been cool before.
It's always been cool. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. We're all the cool kids in here. But no, I mean, it's when we were talking about like readers and like loyalty and they know what to expect, it's like, well, I can expect that I'm going to like something that so and so narrated, right? I can expect that I'm going to like it, but sometimes I listen and I'm like, I don't think this is their best work. Doesn't mean I'm never going to pick that up again.
Yeah, I mean, and that's okay. Like that's the other thing that I try to tell people. It's okay if you don't like it. If this, because I had some beta readers and some ARC readers that they messaged me and they said, I can't, like for Revelations, they're like, I can't read this. I'm so sorry. Yeah. But like, it's too triggering, or they just, paranormal's not their bag or something. I'm like, it's cool. Like, that doesn't upset me at all. Like, we're not always going to like everything. That's okay. Bad reviews do not hurt my feelings. The only review that has ever hurt my feelings was a 4.5-star review.
So close.
And it was just because there was something that they said that I just very vehemently disagreed with. It was about somebody that's been through trauma liking rough sex and stuff like that. Like, and that they wouldn't because I'm like, you're wrong. You're wrong.
Yeah. You're wrong.
You can be right.
Oh, we see that all the time on the clock.
You cannot speak in absolute. So
no.
Right.
Yeah, I got a review similar, only it was like the opposite way. They said that survivors of abuse don't laugh. Like, I was like, are you kidding me? I'm the giggliest motherfucker you will ever meet, and I laugh all the time. And what I went through, shut up.
I mean, that's the one met me now. I'm a pretty happy-go-lucky person.
Yeah.
Everyone's an armchair psychologist on the internet. So.
Yeah. The world would be a much different place if people could realize that the way that I have dealt with my trauma is not the way that every human deals with their trauma.
Exactly.
Crazy,
and it's all valid.
Yep.
Crazy, Jake.
Yeah, everyone should go to therapy. Just a thought. No one teaches us how to be human, so we got to learn somewhere.
Yeah.
If only we all had health care to pay for that therapy.
Yes, that would be helpful. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
See, here I am pushing my own woke agenda. My conservative parents would be so disappointed in me. But they'll get over it. It's fine. It's fine. All right, what's about normally where we about wrap it up, because we're approaching my bedtime because it's almost 10 o'clock here and I'm an old lady. So if you all want to just finish up, tell everybody where to find you, maybe what you're working on or what you'd like them most to click on or find out about you. And then I'm just going to briefly, next week we have author Brianna Lynn and narrator Amber Battaglia. I don't know who's hosting, though. More to come on that. But yes, Rebecca, with you. Where can they find you? What should they read?
Well, I mean, obviously you can find me on TikTok, although I've been quiet lately. Probably the best place is in my Facebook group. It's Wraith's Ratchet Readers. We have so much fun in there. But I'm pretty active in that group. We have the most amazing, active, engaging group. But I don't really have I have a website, but it sucks. So I'm working on that. But probably Facebook is the best place, or you can find me on Instagram or TikTok. If you message me, I will talk your ear off. So you might not want to do that because I'm a talker. I have two projects that are kind of sitting on the back burner right now. My family's gone through some losses recently, and then we on top of that we got COVID, so we're just coming off of that, so I've mostly been sleeping a lot. But I am working on a project with some TikTok influencers actually that I'm pretty excited to hopefully officially announce soon. And then I'm hoping in the fall to release a paranormal trilogy.
Cool. You
And then,
busy.
other than Progeny, Jake, what are y'all working on?
There's a lot.
What are you not
working on
working
this
on?
week?
In
What are
fact,
you working on this week?
what I am currently working on is Villain Era by Luna. Luna.
Oh no.
Luna
I got
Pierce?
my notifications hit again. Villain Era by Luna Pierce. I just finished yesterday, and I am now moving on to recording a couple of novellas in the Zodiac Academy universe.
Ooh, fun.
Cool.
So we got a
Is this
couple
the
of those
one
on their
Bridget-
way out.
Was
And
this the one Bridget was talking about like yesterday or the night before, where it was like Max's POV, and she's like, "Oh, I can't read this because it was too close" or something like that? Yeah. Okay.
Yep, that's the one.
Nice.
That's exciting.
Yeah, it's I mean, this silly interstitiary, like things that don't really matter, a lot of it, I hate using this term, I don't know a better way to do it, but it's a lot of fan service of like, hey, you get to see the character interactions that would not serve the main plot, but we know you want to watch these two people be in the same room with each other. But yeah, and then easiest way to find us is at BordeauxVO.com or here on TikTok. Obviously, my handle's here. I think Bridget's is Bridget Bordeaux VO. We have a whole coming soon section as well as progress trackers that are actively being updated with where we are in our projects. And then our entire catalog can be found there as well. And if you are an author who has questions about the audiobook process, even if you're new, please reach out. We love just helping people get started and giving information about it. And if there are any narrators on here or aspiring narrators about the process of what we do, we also are happy to talk to you about things. And there are contact details and what we offer as far as coaching and things available there.
That's
So that's
cool.
us.
Nice.
Cool beans.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us, and Jake for being last minute game for this.
Yes.
We
I should
Thank
say,
you so much.
Bridget sends her love and apologies. Without revealing too many personal details, she is doing something very important with someone she loves very dearly tonight that came up very last minute, and I am more than happy to have filled in. I know that she's probably a better conversation than me, but here's where we are.
You were
Not
great.
at all.
You were great.
You were great. And it was really exciting for me to hear Lucas. And I just thank you so much for doing this. And thank y'all for having us and for facilitating this. I really enjoy watching these, and it was really cool to get to be part of one.
Well, thanks for coming on.
You
We
were.
appreciate it.
All right, everybody.
Okay.
Have a wonderful evening, and we'll see you all back next Friday.
Have a good night.
Night.